On a hot September day in 1997, the bustling streets of Amman, the capital of Jordan, witnessed an event that could have forever altered the course of Middle Eastern history. Khaled Mashal, a senior leader of the Hamas movement, stepped out of his car, making his usual walk toward his office. Suddenly, he found himself face to face with two Canadian tourists. What happened in the next few seconds marked the beginning of one of the most controversial operations ever conducted by Israel's intelligence agency, the Mossad. The two men, later revealed to be Mossad operatives, used a specialized device to spray a mysterious poison directly into Mashal's ear. It was a toxin designed to finish off one of Israel's fiercest enemies, silently and without leaving a single trace. But what unfolded over the next 24 hours baffled even the most seasoned political analysts. The very same hand that had delivered the lethal toxin was now frantically rushing an antidote to Amman. Israel was desperately trying to save the life of the man they had meticulously plotted to kill just hours before. History is in the headlines, but the truth? That's hidden in the profiles. Welcome to Profile. Subscribe to join our community of curious minds. In the 1990s, tensions between Israel and Palestinian factions had reached a boiling point. While the Palestine Liberation Organization, led by Yasser Arafat, had abandoned the armed struggle and signed a peace treaty with Israel, the Hamas movement, founded in 1987, emerged as the primary opposition, engineering and executing numerous suicide attacks against Israel. With Benjamin Netanyahu taking power and the peace process grinding to a halt, the violence escalated dramatically. By 1997, Hamas suicide bombers had completely shattered Israel's sense of security and peace. The breaking point arrived at noon on July 30th, 1997, when a devastating attack left 16 Israelis dead and 178 wounded. The very next day, a furious Netanyahu summoned Major General Danny Yatam, the acting head of the Mossad, and demanded an immediate assassination list. Upon reviewing the initial names, Netanyahu rejected the proposal. His order was chillingly clear. Bring me a big fish, not these little ones. But Israel's intelligence apparatus faced a massive diplomatic hurdle. The top Hamas leaders were residing in Jordan, a country with which Israel had signed a historic peace treaty just 3 years prior. Operating on Jordanian soil without the host nation's permission was strictly off-limits. Therefore, Netanyahu insisted that the operation had to be completely silent and untraceable. He absolutely did not want to jeopardize Israel's fragile relationship with Jordan. In the next crucial meeting between Mossad chiefs and the Israeli Prime Minister, a 4-man hit list was laid on the table. It included Musa Abu Marzouk, head of the Hamas political bureau, Khaled Mashal, his deputy, Mohammed Nazal, the Hamas spokesman, and Ibrahim Goshe, a senior member of the political bureau. While Marzouk's American citizenship wasn't a barrier for Netanyahu, it deeply worried the Mossad. Because of this diplomatic risk, Marzouk was pushed to the bottom of the list, elevating Khaled Mashal to the prime target. Now, with the final target selected, the assassination had to be executed flawlessly. It had to look entirely like a natural death. Car bombs and sniper fire were immediately vetoed. The terrifying approved method? A toxic spray applied directly to Mashal's skin. He would slip into a coma within moments and fade away just hours later. The poison chosen was levofentanyl, a narcotic vastly more powerful than standard fentanyl, which itself is 100 times stronger than morphine. According to journalist Ronan Bergman, in those days, some within the Mossad chillingly referred to levofentanyl as the nectar of the gods. A lethal dose was to be covertly introduced into Mashal's body, using a specialized ultrasound device. To the world, and to any medical examiner, his sudden death would look like nothing more than a stroke or a massive heart attack. Mishka Ben David, the head of the Mossad assassination team, later revealed the meticulous preparation behind the hit. First, the operatives ran extensive drills in the streets of Tel Aviv, using regular water to gauge how ordinary people would react to being sprayed. The results were consistent. People always turned around to see what had hit them. To counter this, a brilliant diversion was born. Two agents would walk directly behind Mashal. One carried the ultrasound spray device hidden in his palm. The other carried a vigorously shaken carbonated soda can. At the exact moment the poison was sprayed onto Mashal's neck, the second agent would pop open the fizzy drink. When Mashal turned around to investigate the sudden wetness on his skin, he would only see two clumsy tourists struggling with an exploding soda bottle. On September 19th, the hit squad infiltrated Jordan under the guise of ordinary tourists, carrying forged Canadian passports. Among them was a female anesthesiologist, operating under the alias Dr. Platinum. For 5 agonizing days, the conditions were never quite right for the hit. Finally, on September 25th, the very last day before their visas expired, forcing them to abandon the mission, the window of opportunity violently cracked open. But there was one final failsafe. Mishka Ben David had traveled to Jordan with the team for one specific reason: to carry the antidote. He knew they couldn't predict exactly how Mashal would react, and there was a very real risk that an operative might accidentally poison themselves. The antidote was incredibly small, easily hidden inside a traveler's makeup bag, and worked like a simple syringe injection. As the hit went down, Ben David waited anxiously in his hotel room, ready to save his own men if the nectar of the gods turned against them. In the final moments before the assassination, an unforeseen variable threw the meticulous plan into chaos. Mashal's child unexpectedly stepped out of his car. This sudden movement caught the attention of Mashal's driver, drawing his eyes to the two men pacing the sidewalk behind his boss. The driver instantly noticed the drawn soda can and their deeply suspicious behavior. Panicking under the sudden scrutiny, the Israeli operatives fumbled the execution. Instead of spraying the toxin cleanly onto Mashal's neck, the lethal dose was shot directly into his ear. Despite the botch, the nectar of the gods was still highly effective and capable of killing him in a matter of hours. Realizing he was under attack, Mashal immediately fled the scene. But the danger for the Mossad agents was just beginning. Mashal's driver, aided by a passing Palestinian, engaged the two operatives in a brutal street fight, ultimately overpowering them and dragging them to a local police station. Meanwhile, fully aware he had just survived an assassination attempt, Mashal urgently summoned his colleagues for an emergency meeting. Their immediate decision? Go straight to the press. At first, there was zero physical evidence of a hit. When the story initially broke, the Jordanian government outright denied any plot against Mashal, dismissing the incident as a mere street brawl between a bodyguard and two foreign tourists. Down at the police precinct, the two captured Mossad agents remained calm. Relying on their Canadian covers, they assumed they would be released shortly. But as the media spotlight intensified and local officials grew highly suspicious, the situation spiraled out of their control. During a thorough search, Jordanian police discovered a bandage on one of the agents. When peeled back, there was no wound underneath. It was the adhesive used to secure the ultrasonic poison sprayer to his palm. Sensing a massive cover-up, the precinct chief contacted the Canadian embassy to verify their identities. "Give us 15 minutes," the embassy replied. Ottawa quickly confirmed the truth. The passports were complete forgeries. The Canadian chargé d'affaires even rushed to the station to meet them, but the cornered Mossad agents flatly refused to speak with him. And then, the clock ran out. Exactly 1 hour after the attack, Khaled Mashal's condition began to rapidly and terrifyingly deteriorate.
إلى أن وصلنا مدينة الحسين الطبية، وهناك تم إدخالنا إلى غرفة في مستشفى تجمع حول الأطباء. هنا زادت حالتي سوءا، زاد إحساسي بالنعاس، حتى أتذكر آخر تلك اللحظات أجلسوني، لأن شعروا أنه أنا مستلقي على السرير بدأت أنام. يعني حالة النعاس كانت شديدة، ويبدو أن السم المستعمل من خصائصه إحداث حالة النعاس، لأنه كما عرفت لاحقا أنه السم يضرب.
With the hit squad compromised and the remaining Mossad team desperately seeking refuge inside the Israeli embassy in Amman, a full-scale diplomatic nightmare had begun. At the hospital, doctors faced a terrifying medical mystery. Mashal was suffering from severe respiratory distress, nausea, and extreme dizziness. His pupils were narrowed to pinpoints, a classic sign of a massive narcotic overdose. They soon made a chilling discovery. Whenever Mashal drifted off to sleep, the breathing center of his brain paralyzed, and he stopped breathing entirely. To keep him alive, the medical team had to keep him awake. As the scandalous assassination plot unraveled, Mossad chief Danny Yatam rushed to Amman on a private jet to face King Hussein of Jordan. The king didn't yet know the full extent of the chaos. Yatam confessed everything, insisting the hit was strictly against Hamas, not Jordan. But the geopolitical reality had drastically shifted. Suddenly, absolutely no one wanted Khaled Mashal to die. King Hussein feared that the death of a prominent Hamas leader would ignite massive public uprisings among the large population of Palestinian refugees living within his kingdom. Meanwhile, Netanyahu and Yatam knew the grim truth. If Mashal died, King Hussein would be forced to put the 2 captured Mossad agents on trial and execute them. That evening, King Hussein picked up the phone and called U.S. President Bill Clinton. Shocked by the revelation, a furious Clinton allegedly slammed Netanyahu as an impossible man. King Hussein delivered a chilling ultimatum to the American president. If Mashal dies, the historic peace treaty between Jordan and Israel dies with him. At that moment, U.S.-Israeli relations hit a breaking point. Not a single member of the White House was willing to defend Netanyahu's position. Before even making that call, the Jordanian king had ordered his security forces to surround the Israeli embassy. His threat was absolute. If the antidote was not delivered by midnight, Jordanian forces would storm the compound, arrest the remaining Mossad agents, and execute the entire hit squad. Backed into a corner with no international support, the Israelis had no choice but to cave. During a tense, late-night meeting in Jerusalem, they agreed to the king's demands.
I found myself, as I wrote in my book, at the same day, praised twice. At the beginning, I prayed that Khaled Mashal will die. But when it was failed, I prayed that he will recover, because I knew that if he will recover, it will be also the beginning of the rehabilitation of the relations between Israel and Jordan.
Just before midnight, Mishka Ben David, the head of the assassination team hiding in an Amman hotel, received the call from Tel Aviv. He was ordered to take the antidote down to the lobby and hand it over to Captain Firas of Jordanian intelligence. The original plan was for the Mossad's own Dr. Platinum to administer the cure, but the Jordanians fiercely refused to let her anywhere near Mashal. Instead, Jordanian doctors took the vial. And in a surreal twist of fate, they administered the life-saving cure provided by the very intelligence agency that had tried to commit the murder just hours before. Within hours, Mashal's condition rapidly improved. By Saturday morning, he woke up from the deep sleep, entirely out of danger. But King Hussein wasn't finished. The antidote only covered the 2 captured agents. To secure the release of the remaining 6 Mossad operatives trapped inside the embassy, Israel had to pay a much heavier price. The atonement for Israel's sins was the immediate release of Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, the spiritual leader of Hamas, who was serving a life sentence in an Israeli prison. The botched assassination of Khaled Mashal went down in history as one of the Mossad's greatest, most humiliating failures.
لمحاولة آثمة استهدفت حياته، وعولج الأمر بما استحق. من التأكيد على أنه هكذا أساليب لا يمكن أن تقبل بحال من الأحوال.
While the immediate crisis was resolved, the profound trust between Jordan and Israel was severely fractured. For Hamas, the release of Sheikh Yassin and the survival of Mashal was a monumental propaganda victory, drastically boosting their status and paving the way for their future political dominance in Palestine. Israel, meanwhile, was left entangled in an ugly diplomatic fallout with Canada over the forged passports. As Ronan Bergman described it, Israel was forced to act like a scolded child, apologizing to the world and promising never to repeat the mistake. And the man they had tried so meticulously to erase? Khaled Mashal survived to eventually become the head of the Hamas political bureau, cementing his legacy as one of the organization's most famous and powerful leaders. Every story has 2 sides, and the truth usually lies somewhere in the shadows. We want to hear your perspective. Join the discussion in the comments below. If this profile gave you a new perspective, support our mission with a like and share. Thank you for being part of the Profile community. Until next time, stay curious.